Welcome back to Idiots One Podcast. I'm Taylor.
And I'm Bailey.
And Bailey, before we start today, I just want to. Did you want to say something?
No, I don't have anything.
Talk about our link tree.
Oh, the link tree? Yeah. No, that's a good idea. So before we start today, if any of you guys are interested, our link tree is in the description of this episode and most of our other episodes. And with that, you can follow us on Facebook, you can follow us on Twitter or Instagram, and you can also see us on TikTok. Right now we have a video of me doing the one chip challenge, but other things will be coming shortly. And that's about it. You guys should follow us, interact with us, send us emails with questions and comments at 2idiots1podcast2022@gmail.com.
I mean, I still have to do a punishment, so
Yeah.
if you have any ideas on what that would be, let me know.
Yeah, feel free to shoot us a message. So what movie are we talking about today, Taylor?
Yeah, Bailey, we're talking about Hellraiser.
Hellraiser? Is it the 2022 version or?
Unfortunately, yes. It is the 2022 version, which was written by these lovely people. Are you ready? Ben Collins was the director. Just kidding. No, Oh, no. The reason it sounds familiar is because I was thinking Phil Collins in the air tonight. That's why. Yeah. I was like, oh, Ben Collins. I think that he did. I don't know. Doesn't matter. Ben Collins, Luke P., David Goyer, based on the book by Clive Barker.
Yes, and it was directed by David Br8ckner.
Who I believe has done stuff.
Yeah.
I just can't remember what he's done. Is that name does sound familiar, right?
Yeah.
It's also got a star-studded cast. Not really. With Odessa Azion.
Yeah, that's Riley. I wasn't sure how to pronounce her name.
Odessa Azion. And Jamie Clayton. All right, we'll talk about her later. Adam Faison. Drew Starsky. There was one person that I did kind of recognize in this movie, which was Drew Starsky. And ironically enough, the reason that I recognized him, because I had to really think about it, and then I pulled him up on IMDb. He plays Rafe in The Outer Banks.
Really?
Yeah. If you've ever seen The Outer Banks, that's...
I have seen The Outer Banks.
Yeah, he's Rafe. Because I was like, he looks familiar. Couldn't put it there. Totally different character. Sort of. One of them's a druggie and the other one's rich. So, but they both kind of come off as assholes.
Yeah. I mean, that's fair.
Yeah, I haven't seen Outer Banks. Give it a shot. But what would you give it if you were to rate it on a scale from 1 to 5, with 1 being absolutely fucking terrible? Just kidding. That's a 0. 1 being bad, 5 being excellent, and 3 being it's decent.
I would rate this probably a 3 because I think it's decent. I would recommend it to fans of Hellraiser or anyone who's into occulty horror, or like any like sadism or masochism, like sadomasochism or however it's pronounced, or I don't know.
Sadomasochism.
Yeah, anyone who's into anything like that, I would say that they would probably like it because it's got that vibe. It doesn't feel as sinister as I think it should feel, which is why my score has been lowered from what it could be. Because this movie was pretty good, but it didn't have a lot of suspense. A lot of the kills weren't as like violent and grotesque as I would imagine they should be, and it didn't have like the raw feeling that I was hoping for.
So I'm right there with you. It's a 3. It's not bad. The reason I gave, I wanted to say that the IMDb description was that it's a take on Clive Barker's classic, which you have to go into it knowing that, otherwise it's terrible. But because it's take on the movie, or a retelling, if you will, we're doing a lot of those. It's like it's okay, it's decent. It's not the greatest thing in the world. If you are a Hellraiser fan and have been wanting to watch a good sequel, yeah. I mean, compared to if you watch the first 3 and then you're like, oh, those are good, then you watch the 4th one and you're like, oh, that's really bad. Well, here you go. Here's the 4th one. But yeah, RogerEbert.com, what do you think they gave it?
I don't think they've reviewed it.
They have.
Really?
Yeah.
Probably a 4.
A 4?
Yeah.
You being serious?
No, I would imagine probably like a 2.5 on their scale.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah, 2.5 stars.
That's fucking insane. I don't think I've ever got it right.
Yeah, 2.5 stars.
I think this is like the second or third time out of all of the movies we've done that I've guessed the right score.
It was kind of nice. That you guessed it for once. But yeah, down 2.5. Like, I mean,
Did you think I was serious with 4?
no. But yeah, I think we're all kind of on the same page of like, it's okay.
Yeah.
But the spoiler-free review for this one, it's okay. It's decent. This is the story of a girl who got hooked on drugs and it changed her whole world. She has a very gay brother who just wants the best for her since she has no mother. Because of that, she decides to meet up with a guy at AA, break into a storage container, and steal a puzzle box. And then shit gets weird. And she summons the Cenobites. And
So it's starting to get a little bit spoilery.
well, no, I mean you can kind of like
Yeah, I mean all of that's like trailer.
yeah.
You can know from the trailer, but beyond that,
Beyond that, yeah, she just I don't know. She opens up a puzzle box and shit gets real very quick.
yeah, it's suddenly very Hellraiser-y.
Yeah, it goes from a movie about drug addiction to Hellraiser all of a sudden. So, but we'll explore those topics in the spoiler review.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, for recommendations for this one, go out and see it if you want to. It's on Hulu.
Yeah, I mean, there's no reason not to watch this, in my opinion. Like, if you have a Hulu subscription, you're into horror, and you don't have anything to watch.
Well, there are plenty of reasons to not watch it, but
Well, no, because, like, while I don't think this is, like, a phenomenal movie by any means.
just okay.
Yeah, exactly, just okay. But I think that it's a good movie to watch. There's no reason not to sit down and watch it if you need something to watch and don't have anything because it's not horrible. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like it's okay.
I would rather watch this than like so many of the like cheesy, shitty horror movies that have came out over the years.
The new Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2022.
Yeah, I would rather watch this than the new Texas Chainsaw 2022, even though the bus scene and that was really cool.
Yeah, that's fair.
Do you have anything else spoiler free? Because that's about where I am spoiler free.
Yeah, spoiler free. That's it. Go out, watch it on Hulu.
No reason not to.
No reason not to, even though they up their prices, and you probably shouldn't support Hulu, but that doesn't matter.
If you have a Hulu subscription already, there is no reason not to watch it.
And if you don't, and you want to use mine, just let me know. I kind of, shell it out to people, so
Oh, damn.
for money. But yeah, let's play the transition music. And with that transition music, we are in the spoiler section.
Oh, shit. Spoilers?
So if you have not seen this movie and you want to see this movie, stop listening.
Or you can keep listening and just, it'll be spoiled.
Yeah. So first thing that I'm going to say is that this movie, the reason my score is a little bit lowered for it was because it is basically the exact same thing as 2013's Evil Dead. I've seen this movie before.
Yeah.
And that bothered me a lot. They kind of missed the whole point of Hellraiser, which you haven't read the Hellbound Heart, have you?
No, I mean, I'm familiar with it, but it's not something I've read.
So Hellraiser, it's just a little backstory, which we'll go a little bit more in depth with the actual Hellraiser review. But the actual book of Hellraiser is a novella because it was published in the Books of Blood, I think is what it was. Like it was a story that was published in there by Clive Barker amongst many others. It was like the anthology collection or whatever. So it's a standalone piece and it doesn't need anything else. And this is a retelling of that, but it is basically that one is just a love triangle is all it is. It's just a fucked up love triangle story, but also has, which this film did kind of explore those topics of, basically the whole point was pleasure. And this movie explores it, but not at the same level as the original.
So I'm right there with you. That's part of the reason why my score was as low as it is, because I haven't read the source material. And I try really hard to separate this as a retelling rather than a remake. But the first one had a very good sinister vibe to it, comparatively speaking. And I felt there was more of like a pain and pleasure being symbiotic.
Which it is, because like I'm a very big believer in that you can't have one without the other, and that was kind of the whole point of the first movie, right?
And I didn't feel that as much in this one, which detracted from my score.
Well, even when the caretaker guy, can't remember his name.
Voight?
Voight, yeah. I was thinking, yeah. Well, I thought Vought is what it was, and I was like, no, that's not. We're not watching The Boys.
Yeah, no, Voight.
Even with him, I think they fucked him up because he wished for pleasure, and the whole point of the Cenobites is that they give you pleasure in the form of pain.
I want to just correct you on that. So he got liminal, which is sensation, not necessarily pleasure, because that's a pleasure and sensation there is a distinct difference.
Right, but he asked for pleasure.
He wanted pleasure.
And the Cenobites grant pleasure, and I didn't feel like they did that at all in this movie. Because the whole point of the Cenobites is that they can't differentiate between pleasure and pain, so the whole thing is synonymous with each other.
Right.
And
we've all seen the Rick and Morty parody.
I mean, I have not, but anyway, when you're taken to basically hell with them, they are instructed to show you pleasure. Like when you open up, and that's the problem I had with the puzzle box, was it gave you like the choice or whatever. When you open up the puzzle box, it's because you are seeking pleasure. In the original and in all the source material, that's what it is. There was no, you have a choice of these 5 things, which was kind of dumb in my opinion. Because you open up the puzzle box, you want the pleasure, you've summoned them for the pleasure, and then they torture you to the point that you can't differentiate between the two anymore. So then you start to like it, even though your skin's being like flayed off. And that was what the Cenobites were. That's why on the original movie poster it was angels to some, demons to others. And I really enjoyed that, and I felt like that was the essence, along with a whole point of limitless pleasure is not good. Like, I think that this has a subtle message towards the downfalls of hedonism.
Oh yeah, no, the vibe I got from this was a very not conservative necessarily, but maybe more repressed than previous iterations of Hellraiser.
Which is funny because Hellraiser in of itself, which, you know, I'll get into it, but it was just something I thought was funny, is about it's about repression and homosexuality. Like, if you've ever read anything about Clive Barker, like his work, you can see the homoeroticness, and this is a great example of that. But that's not the point. We'll talk about that when we do Hellraiser. But with this one, I felt like it didn't really hit the mark. And you can argue, yeah, there's the drug addiction, which is its own form of pleasure.
If it had elaborated more on it, like had it,
which it never did.
Like, I think that her being a drug addict or an alcoholic, because I guess it was AA or whatever, would have been a lot more impactful if there had been more than just the one scene of her allegedly being drunk at the beginning. That doesn't show the destructive nature of it in the way that I think that it was meant to be portrayed, because, you know, people who overindulge in alcohol and drugs and stuff, that is pleasure seeking. But because it didn't show it and it just told us, I feel like that was a weak way to do it.
I think that when you compare it to, you know, Evil Dead, it gets a lot worse, because Evil Dead even showed the horrors of heroin, I think is what it was what she was on, or some shit.
I haven't seen Evil Dead 2013 in a very long time, like 9 years probably.
I want to say it was heroin because she was withdrawing, but it showed the withdrawal from it. You know, the I want it and craving it and going out to lengths to get it and then throwing up and stuff, you know. Like it showed that this, like, she went to this extreme and this is the downfall of it. But with how severe of an alcoholic it was portrayed of her being, it was like, oh, okay.
You're not really showing us that, you're just telling us.
Congratulations, you say you have an alcohol problem, but I think what you really did was took like 2 sips of alcohol and said, I'm drunk. That's what it felt like.
Well, I mean, I don't know about that.
Was the one girl. This movie was the one girl at the party who drinks a Mike Hard lemonade and says, "Oh, I'm fucked up." That's what this movie was, and that was the problem because it tried to do its own thing, but it went about it wrong because the story sucks. And I'm not saying that the story in the original isn't perfect because it's not. But there was more of a story in the original than there was in this one, and it tried to rely on the visual graphics that the original 1987 did, right? Because it was trying to pay homage to it but stand on its own 2 feet. And I think that it failed at that.
It's a dangerous game.
Right. Because if you do it too much, you have people like us that are saying, oh, yeah, well, it's not compared to the original, even though they tried to portray it as closer to the book, which was stupid. I don't know why, when it was coming out, people were saying that. Because it was not closer to the book at all.
Well, so this might be an inappropriate time to do it, but my friend Tim is one of the people who recommended that we do this. And when I was talking to him about it, he said that it felt closer to the book to him. Which could me be misinterpreting or misremembering what he said specifically because it has been like a week or two since I talked to him about it.
The only part of that I will agree with is that in the book, Pinhead's not actually Pinhead.
Yeah, Cenobite.
Lead Cenobite. And it doesn't actually refer to Pinhead as Pinhead until 2015. It's the Scarlet Gospels. That's the first time in writing it's ever Pinhead. But I have my problems with that book too. But at the same time, the only thing about this movie that was closer to the book than the original was that the lead Cenobite was kind of androgynous and looks feminine but sounds like a man and a woman put together, which was perfect because that's how the Cenobite's supposed to be. They're sexless beings, but in the book it's described looking more feminine.
So speaking of the Cenobites, I think that they were done really well in this. Like, that's definitely a huge positive for me. Like, I thought they looked really cool.
But they weren't because they didn't. My problem with the movie is that it tried to focus on what the 87 one did and then use these really cool visuals and stuff and then kind of felt lackluster because it was hiding a really shitty plot. It couldn't get away with it.
I mean, I agree that the plot wasn't as strong, but like, I thought it looked cool.
The Hell Priestess looked like a Hell Priestess, like the lead Cenobite did. So, I mean, yeah, but it didn't go as visual as I wanted it to and as visceral as I wanted it to.
That's something that I felt was missing too. Well, that's what I was talking about when we were in the spoiler-free section. When I was talking about it not feeling as like gory and raw as I liked, I wanted a more visceral feeling.
Well, even like the gore, I'm glad that it didn't do the gore.
Really?
Yes, because it would have detached from the movie. If you do gore, you have to do it a certain way. And I don't think this movie was sophisticated enough to pull it off like Martyrs.
I mean, well, I'm not saying Martyrs level of gore. I'm talking.
Well, no, I'm just saying, but that's an example of over the top gore and extreme, but it was done right and tastefully, and I don't think this movie could have done that.
Well, so specifically what I'm talking about is obviously the scenes where people die, like when they're getting hooked and ripped apart. But even like Voight's machine in him that tugs on his nerves, like when they focused on it, it looked super badass. But it didn't seem as like, I don't want to use the word gritty, but I felt like it should have felt grittier. Or alternatively, they could have leaned more into the super weird, like otherworldly approach and made it seem more abstract. Because it was already kind of like an abstract machine that was fucking with his nerves. But had they made it an even more like elaborate abstract machine, I think that would have been fine. Or if they had made it more like raw and earthy and gory. But I felt like it was just too much in the middle. You know what I mean? Like they didn't lean hard enough into either side, in my opinion, on stuff like that.
Maybe. I mean, I don't know. I think that it didn't need to be any gorier because I don't think that Hellraiser was supposed to be a gory thing. I mean, you could argue with me on that one, but
No, I mean, I don't think it was supposed to be gory, but
like I don't know, it felt like every aspect of this movie was trying so desperately hard to be its own thing that it failed, which was the opposite with the sequels. Because once you got to Hellraiser 4, if you've ever watched 4 and 5, they are totally different movies that were going to flop. So they just slapped Hellraiser on them and then turned them into a Hellraiser movie.
really,
Yeah. Like Inferno number 5 honestly is a great fucking movie because it's like a cop doing a paranormal investigation, which reminded me a lot of oh, I can't think of the fucking book by Clive Barker, the something show.
I'm not familiar.
It's basically Harry Diamore, I think it's how you say his last name, Diamore. Yeah. Who's like a magical. He's a detective, but he uses magic and stuff.
Illusion.
No, not illusion, but like incantations and shit to protect him against evil.
Oh, so he's a wizard.
No, but he hunts down and investigates stuff. The Great and Secret Show, I think is maybe what it was. Anyway, it's a good book. And it was him and Pinhead that were in the Scarlet Gospels together. But that's kind of what it reminded me of, a little bit of that. And it could have been its own thing or something about that, but it turned into a weird Hellraiser movie where Pinhead was stalking him the whole time. And it was like, oh, okay, that's bad. But yeah, by itself, if it had been something, I think it had potential. And I think this movie had potential, but it tried too hard to be different that it came off as odd. And there were odd choices for things. And then the twist that they had at the end, I was like, oh, didn't see that one coming.
That's fair. Although it kind of was foreshadowed that he was going to betray her, especially when she was trying to get him to touch the box, and he's like, "Nah, fuck that. I don't touch it like that."
Yeah, there was that. It was also super, super convenient. And the moment that I knew that he was in on it or something was that when he said, "Oh yeah, I got this heist if you want to be in on it." And I'm like, "Oh, you setting her up?"
Yeah.
Yeah. Like nobody just says that.
I mean,
That's why when it happened, I was like, "Oh, I don't care." Knew it was coming. Cool.
yeah. I mean, I wasn't surprised at all when it found out that he was like betraying them. I was like, "Oh yeah, that makes sense."
And that's the problem, is it had really shitty writing.
It was funny though in parts.
No, it wasn't. It was annoying and came off as whiny.
I mean, to me, that is funny though.
Okay. No, I didn't think that it was funny. I thought that it was very whiny and with me, I'm an alcoholic. Like I'm like feeling sorry. Like the whole movie felt sorry for itself.
I mean, that's very fair. But the scene that I'm specifically talking about that I thought was funny, when she was fighting with her brother when she came home drunk, and she was like, "If you want me to leave, you just gotta say it."
That was stupid.
It was so funny.
No.
You don't. I
She
laughed.
screamed. No, she screamed at him, "Get the fuck out!" And then he goes, "Get the fuck out!" and just screams it back at her. He's like, "Is that what you wanted to hear?" I'm like, "No, nobody wanted to hear that. That
I-
whole scene was uncalled for."
I don't know. I thought it was funny. It made me giggle.
No.
I mean, it made me giggle because I didn't think it was very good dialogue,
Right.
but I thought it was funny. Like, I thought it was intentionally bad to be funny.
Well, and then on top of that, you have the interactions with, like, this movie does its own twist on how the Cenobites interact with people and their motives and stuff, and I didn't really appreciate that one because it takes away from the sensational, hedonistic pleasure of the first movie.
It takes away the choice.
No.
Well, no, when I say the choice in, like, knowing what you're doing, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, in the first one,
Frank knew what he was doing.
choosing to touch the box was a choice. And this one, you don't know what the box is. Or most people don't know what the box is, especially when it initially stabs them or cuts them or however. They aren't aware. Whereas in the first one,
And that's the problem that I have with this movie, is that it was such a cheap cop out where you can open the box And if the random knife didn't pop out and, gorge your hand,
You can just stab someone else.
and they're the ones, like, that was dumb.
Yeah, no, I'm right there with you.
You have to, whoever opens the puzzle box, whoever's the last one to open the box. Like, if you're the last person to touch it and that's what opens it, then you open the box. And you can trick people into doing it that way, which is kind of, how, well, I'm not going to get into it. But yeah, you can trick people or people can accidentally do it, and that's fine. If she had have accidentally opened the box and then cut herself, which she kind of does, and then they chose her for some weird reason to carry out the legacy of just stabbing everybody, and I was like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, I mean, no, Riley accidentally opening it, like, totally
Also, she looked
support.
fucking terrible.
Really?
The whole movie.
I don't know. I thought that she was a good pick for the role. I thought she did a good job.
I hate her hair and face reminded me of the kid from the little kid in Halloween that, was in Santa Clarita Diet.
Okay.
That's who she reminded me of, just with like long curly hair that you couldn't see her face half the time. Like, I hated the wardrobe choice for her.
I mean, I don't know. I thought she was good. I thought she did a good job.
She did a good job. Did she do nearly as good of a job as what's her nuts, Jamie Clayton? No, because Jamie Clayton, I feel like if anybody says was a shitty Pinhead, was wrong, because she felt as scary as Doug Bradley did in the role, of like dominating and domineering and authentic.
Yeah.
Like it felt good. Have no problems with her. Have such high praise for her. Riley felt okay at times. Her wardrobe choice was really bad. It made me not want to look at her throughout the whole movie. But yeah, like, I don't know. I mean, it has its flaws, but it stands on its own and tries to be something else, and I applaud it for that. I just wish it wouldn't have tried so hard. In fact, I wish that it would have been a modern, like even a modern remake of the movie set in America. That would have been fine.
Yeah.
Could have got behind that one.
I mean, like I said, I don't think this was bad by any means.
I mean, it's decent. It's not good, but it's not bad. Like, it's just okay. It's the best out of all the sequels, but it's not something that I'll watch again. Like, I can't in good faith say, oh, I'm going to watch this again. I'll watch the Rob Zombie Halloween again because it was fun. It had good dialogue choices, and even though it had its flaws.
That's a callback, by the way.
Yeah, yeah. But even though it had its flaws and stuff, it was still good. In its own way, and it had parts of it that gave it charm. I couldn't find the charm in this movie. There's my 4 cents on why I think that it's an okay movie and not great, but had potential to be good, and that's why my score was what it was.
That's fair.
So I'm sorry for dominating the whole thing. What do you have?
I mean, so I just have a couple notes on this movie. I thought that it was funny when Riley vandalized her own car at the beginning, because it shows that she's a genuinely good person, and I think her decisions throughout the movie are generally showing her caring about other people for the most part, because she wasn't ever trying to like fuck anybody. Like with the box, she does, but it wasn't like intentional. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I don't know. She never tried to fuck people over with the box, and you can see that in a couple of scenes. But the character development was so poor, I didn't care.
Yeah, that's
I didn't care about any of the characters to fuck over, and I was like, oh, cool.
That's fair.
She's not gonna stab him and sacrifice him, even though she could, because now they want her soul. I was like, I don't care. The writing for this movie was not good.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I don't really have anything else. Do you, for this movie? I thought the ending was cool when Voight became a Cenobite, or I think that's what happened. I was online and I saw some other people arguing that that's not exactly what happened, but
what?
I saw an argument online that said that he wasn't turned into a Cenobite, and he was actually turned into a power source for the box. for the
No.
yeah
The
no
way that they describe it, even with her saying our power, like we're going to show you where our power comes from because our power is the box being us. Like she says that they're like no.
yeah no I agree. He got Leviathan. He got Cenobite power. He became a Cenobite. He got Cenobit.
I mean, yeah.
Cenobited.
I'm not gonna laugh at that. But yeah, like I don't know.
You not laughing at it makes it even funnier for me.
Yeah, I'm not gonna laugh at that at all. So I mean, it's okay. It's not the greatest thing in the world, but I don't think that comment online was correct at all.
No, it was a YouTube video. It was like 8 minutes long, and the whole time I was just like, I don't know if you watched the same movie I did.
It's all about perspective, I guess.
Yeah, no, for sure. Hard facts.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's all I really have for it.
So I have a question for you.
Okay.
If you had to pick, what would you have picked between power, resurrection, sensation?
I'm not gonna pick any of them.
No?
No, because no.
No, you wouldn't pick any of them?
No, because if I'm opening up the box, it's to seek pleasure. Like I'm a purist on that one, having read all the source material. Like I can't pick because none of them. No.
Because the premise is like something you reject.
Yeah, the premise is something I reject, so I can't pick any of them because they're all stupid.
No, I mean I'm here for
Because
it.
the only one that I would pick is pleasure, and that's not even on there.
Yeah, it's not even an option.
So I would pick pleasure because that's what you pick when you open the box. They are to show you things. What does he say? We have such sights to show you, which he does do in the movie, which I thought was cool.
Yeah, when that line was done, I was just like, ah.
Yeah, but it was wrong. Well, no, in this one it was because she was giving him the ultimate form of pleasure. So yeah, no, I wouldn't.
You
wouldn't pick any of them because it's stupid.
See, I don't know. I feel like
Damon Card's box.
out of all of the people I know, I would consider you to be like one of the most likely people to open up that box if it came into your possession.
Yeah, if it came into because I would open it for pleasure. Like
Yeah.
I would do it purely as a pleasure-seeking thing because I am, hedonistic by nature.
Yeah.
And if I find something that will give me more pleasure than what I'm experiencing, yeah, I'll go for it.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to open up the box. I'm not going to open up that box.
I mean, I feel that. Yeah, out of all of my friends, you're like in the top 3 people. I'm like, oh yeah, if he got it, he would immediately be like, fuck yeah, let's go.
Oh, well, who's number 1?
I mean, you're in the top 3.
Well, no, who's number 1?
Not in any distinct
Well,
order.
no, I got to know who number 1 is.
You could be number 1.
Well, no, because you said I was in the top 3, which means that I'm not number 1. I'm just in the top 3.
The other 2 people would also be in the top 3, but or the other 2 people would also be in the top 3, but I'm not going to call them out.
That's fine. I just need to know who number 1 would be.
There's not a distinct
Where would
order.
I be? Where would I be?
You'd probably be number 1.
No.
No, you'd probably be
you
number
didn't.
1.
You think I would be number 1?
Probably.
Why?
Taylor, I've known you for years.
Yeah.
Hellraiser is what you're about. Like the original, like I could see that being you in like 40 years. Like you could be Frank, not with all like the evil fucked up shit, but like the just, you know what I'm saying?
Like the pleasure seeking?
Yeah.
Because I constantly have to seek things out because I get bored.
Yeah, exactly. You just said it.
Yeah. I do relate to Frank a lot in the original movie. I couldn't relate to any of them in here.
Maybe Voight if you were wealthy and powerful.
No, because he got other people to open the box to like sacrifice them, and I'm not about that. Because
I think that's the way you have to do it in this iteration of the movie.
I mean, yeah. So he was also looking for pleasure.
Yeah.
So I guess yeah, I could relate to him. Okay, well, which one would you have picked?
If I had to pick one,
I can't believe I'm number 1. Once we're off here, I want to know who the other 2 are.
yeah, well, no, we'll talk about it.
Okay, do I know them?
No.
Oh,
Yeah, no.
I should. We should all get together and fuck.
No, if I had to pick one, I would probably pick Life, just because like I know how it ends, and Life is the only one where you don't get irreparably fucked. That being said, if I had no knowledge, I would probably pick lore because I like knowledge and knowing stuff is good.
I'm going to tell you how you're going to get fucked on life.
Well, that's what Riley picked, and that's how she quote unquote lived.
No, she didn't. She picked nothing.
Yeah,
she didn't make a choice.
She picked nothing, which was Lament, which was life. That's in the dialogue. That's what Pinhead says.
Yeah, because they had to justify it because she wouldn't make a decision.
Right, but making no decision was choosing Lament, Lement.
Yeah.
Lament. Yeah.
Which was
life.
You had to live with everything that you have done. Like, that's how they fucked you over.
Yeah. That's not bad.
I mean...
And she didn't even really do any hood rat shit, so she's fine.
I don't know about that one.
What's the worst thing she did?
She literally killed somebody.
Right. Who was trying to sacrifice them.
He wasn't trying to sacrifice her.
No, but...
He loved her, and she killed him.
So we kind of talked about this on the pre-pod about black and white, and like, to me that's a gray area. If someone's a murderer and like a killer and you kill them, like, are you actually a bad guy? I don't think so.
Yeah, because you still killed somebody.
See, I don't know. That's a gray area.
It's like saying that Dexter was a bad guy. Was it good that he was killing? It's good that he's killing people that deserve to die, but it's also bad because he killed people, and killing people is wrong.
That's an interesting perspective.
Yeah. Like, bad guys die. You're killing people that were gonna kill other people, so that's cool. But you also killed somebody that's fucked up.
I mean, that's fair. I understand your perspective on that.
Yeah. It's the only perspective.
I mean, I don't know about that. Like I said, I think there's a gray area.
So you would have picked life?
Yeah. No. I mean, with the knowledge of the movie, had I not seen the movie and I just happened to come across the box and figure it out and get given all of those choices, I would almost for sure pick lore, because lore is knowledge, and I'm about knowing shit.
I mean, yeah, that's fair.
But with the knowledge of how the movie plays out, yeah, I would pick life so that I could live with the knowledge of what I've done. Like, like it can't be any worse than other stuff already.
I don't know about that.
Yeah, I would pick lore without knowing anything.
That is fair. So I guess, what would you have for Bailey's Babbles?
That question was my Bailey's Babbles, but
I
thought I honestly figured you liked the movie more and would be willing to play along.
Oh, no?
No, I mean, that's okay. But instead, we've got another thing that we can do. We can go straight into news, because there are a couple upcoming movies and or TV series that I'm looking forward to.
Let's get into the news. This week in the news for movies, what do you got, Bailey?
Well, I mean, it's not necessarily this week, but Violent Night comes out in December.
Violent Night is the new movie that you might have seen the trailers for, where Santa comes in down the chimney to deliver cookies to a family that are being held hostage. And you know what Santa does? Because a little girl was on the good list, he fucking murders everybody.
He whoops some ass.
He murders them.
That's set to release December 2nd of this year. I'm pretty excited for it. I think it looks dumb, but I think it also looks fun.
Not to be confused with Silent Night, Deadly Night, two different movies.
Yes.
And also in the news, the new, what is it called? Addams Family movie is coming out. Or it's not a movie, it's a TV show, isn't it?
And it's called Wednesday.
And it's called Wednesday. And our girl, Jenna Ortega, is going to play Wednesday Addams.
Absolutely.
This will be a new iteration and part of the ever-expanding, and however many times they want to reboot it, Addams Family since the 1950s. Yes. Will it be good? Will it be bad? Probably good.
Yeah, I mean, it's got Jenna Ortega in it, and that's set to release on November 23rd, 2022 on Netflix.
And we have recorded this a couple of days early, but by the time that you listen to it, this movie will have already been out. Halloween Ends.
Yes.
Has not released yet, but it will. So whenever this releases, we'll probably not do a podcast over it, considering we didn't do the other two.
Yeah.
But if you would like to hear that, let us know. And that'll be available on Peacock and in theaters. Will it be on HBO?
I don't think it's going to be on HBO.
No. It'll definitely be on Peacock because the other one was on Peacock, and it will definitely be in theaters because we see the Red Band trailer every fucking time we go to the movies,
Yes.
which is not good. It has one instance of the word fuck in it, and that's why it's Red Band. Kind of dumb.
It happens to the best of them, bro.
And then also in early 2023, we'll be getting the Killer Clowns game. Super excited for that one, but not as excited as we are for Scorn, which is set to possibly release shortly. Or is it already out?
I think
it'll release.
I think it will release. I think they pushed the release date to the 14th. But
to the 14th?
But I'm not 100% sure.
So we are going to say that the 14th is when this game comes out.
It's going to be on Game Pass.
It will be. It will not be on anything that I play because I'm a PlayStation purist, but I have been waiting on this game since 2018 when I first got wind of it. And then it got development hell.
Yeah, it happens to the best of them.
So I know that it was in development since 2014. Super excited about it. Would love to see it. Would love to play it. From everything that I've seen, it looks really good. So hopefully when the actual game comes out, we'll be able to tell. And if not, that's okay. But yeah, that will definitely be released by the time this episode drops.
Absolutely.
I feel like we're dating ourselves with these episodes, so then you can see exactly when we record them.
That's okay.
That's okay. Little peek behind the curtain. But that is all the news that we have. If you haven't seen Pearl yet, go out and see Pearl.
Yes, and X if you haven't seen X. We've released both of those episodes already.
And those are definitely very good. I've been seeing a couple people dress up as Pearl for Halloween.
Me too.
And ironically enough, also a lot of controversy surrounding Dahmer because people are dressing their children up as Dahmer for Halloween.
Yeah.
There were a couple of those that I saw that people were genuinely mad about. And there was also a post that I saw. It was basically like Bring in the Flood is what it was called. And it was a thread of the Jeffrey Dahmer. I think it was like one of his last interviews that he did. And people were commenting on how cute and innocent he was with his smile. That's all it was.
No, I mean, that sounds about right.
There were like 6 or 7 back to back of, OMG, he's so cute. Look at that smile. He wouldn't do anything wrong. And I'm like, oh.
He literally admitted to it.
Yeah. And so that's why, the caption was let the flood begin. I thought that was hilarious.
Absolutely.
So yeah, we are definitely living in a world where it doesn't matter anymore. But yeah, if you haven't seen Dahmer, it's on Netflix. It is not for the faint of heart. And leaves out a lot of really fucked up things. But that's okay.
Absolutely.
Because Evan Peters is in it. And I think, is that all we have for the news?
I believe so.
Ding, 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 ding. We need to get news music.
I mean, I'm probably just going to use the transition music again.
Oh, for that one?
I generally just throw the transition music in wherever we transition.
Oh, so that would be like every 30 seconds?
I mean, yeah. It's just the like we say like 5 or 6 words and then transition music.
Do, 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 do.
And then like someone else starts talking and then I throw in the transition music again. Like
do 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 do.
Yeah, it's all the podcast is. That's why the episodes are like 4.5 hours long. It's like 20 minutes of us talking and then 4 hours and 10 minutes of transition music.
Yeah, it's pretty nice. Maybe we'll release one of those episodes someday, but you'll have to be on our Patreon for that one. Just like the exclusive first episode that we ever recorded.
Yeah.
I know we talk about that a lot, and I wonder if anybody's genuinely curious as to what that sounds like. But yeah, Apostle, the very first one that we recorded and then re-recorded, it was so bad, and then chose to scrap both of them. So there are 2 versions of this movie out. And if you're a Patreon member, we'll give them both to you.
Yeah, whenever we get that Patreon thing up and rolling.
Well, yeah. That'll be a while, though.
Could be 10 years.
Could be tomorrow. Who knows? Find out on the next episode of Survivor.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, Survivor's a really great show.
Do you have anything else, Taylor?
No, I don't have anything else. I think that was it.
This has been Two Idiots One Podcast. I'm Bailey.
And I'm Taylor. And thank you for listening. Be sure to check out our link tree where you can find the links to all of our social media, including but not limited to Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, MySpace, and our website, 2 Idiots, 1 Podcast, or 2I, 1P. And yes, 2 I's do form 1P if you put them together.
We don't have a website
that you know of.
or a MySpace.
That you know of.
What year is this?
Welcome to 2003. But this has been Two Idiots, One Podcast. Again, thank you so much for everything that you do for us. I just want to take a moment to say that no matter whatever you're going through in your life, it's okay. You'll make it through. And if you would like, you can always give me a call at our new hotline that I have installed. Leave us a voicemail. You ready for the number? The number is 918-864-7374. Make sure you call that number, leave us a voicemail, or if you ever need to chat, call that number. Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.